I enjoy being a DM, mostly because A, it gives me an opportunity to tell a story, which is something that I am all about. Also, I'm the person who tried to get all of my friends into D&D, and if you're that person, you have to be the DM, because you own all the books, and I do own all of the books. So, the first way that I discovered D&D was there was an old closet in my basement that me and my sister loved to dig into because it was all of my dad's old stuff. And he had like either first or second edition D&D, and it just fascinated me. I loved board games as a kid. I loved games as a kid. I was always into video games and all of that. And D&D just seemed like this magical thing where you can tell a story and just roll dice and things happen. That's basically what it is, and basically what it was for me and my sister. Yeah, so while me and my sister were cutting out everything that we didn't understand from the game, we decided to make our own version of the game, which was a great way to end arguments, definitely. We called it Beasts and Gold because that was our initials. It was Bennett and Graham. So, and we just were looking for words that fit that. We created nothing of it. We just created a little monster manual. We made up a couple of little creatures that existed in this world and had a handful of dice in the descriptions and thought that that was enough. Typically, my D&D process when I'm writing an adventure is that I will have an idea for a general adventure, just a whole story in totality. It'll have a villain, it'll have a villain's evil plan, and it'll go from there. At that point, it doesn't really matter who the players are, because anyone can be the players. It's really easy to get players where you want them if you know their backstories, because you can just make the adventure tie into that in some way, or have some benefit for the character so that there is a reason that they would want to get involved. That's probably the most important part of writing an adventure, is right at the end, making sure that the players actually want to go into that adventure. One session I will generally put in maybe 3 to 4 hours. The entire campaign as a whole, I'll put in much more, just because I'll be writing ahead, I'll be thinking ahead, but I don't actually put any time into the work until basically the day of the session. I do a lot of my writing in my head, just thinking about it and talking to myself half of the time. For a session, I have to have a general plot of what I think is going to happen during the session, just like so I kind of have a guideline. Players will not often follow that, but they will. It's good to have something down. If there is going to be a combat in the session, I generally know if there's going to be a combat ahead of time because I'm going to put the players in some situation where they're probably going to piss someone off. I make a combat, I put together monsters who I think that they'll fight well against, I put together a map, usually. I think it's a good way for me to get together with my friends and just have some fun. I find it to be a very social gathering. Oftentimes we'll bring a lot of food together. I have a friend who bakes a lot, so she's made cakes and cookies and stuff like that. And then, it's just an opportunity for me to tell a story to my friends that they are going to be the only people who know. There's something special about just sitting around a campfire and telling a story, and that's essentially what D&D is nowadays. It's a little more interactive than, a story you already know the ending of, but I don't know, it's just a way to tell a story. My influences are all of the fantasy novels by Terry Pratchett that I read all over, just over the years. He's probably the best writer that I've ever read. His Discworld is a perfect combination of funny and serious, and it's fun while still telling you something about the world. And he's my greatest fantasy influence, but my influences also come from wherever I can find an influence. I like to give people a chance to be a hero. We all read Harry Potter, we all read Percy Jackson, we all wanted to be them and do good things in the world, and I think D&D is a fun way to kind of channel that and play at that.